And the recording for this will be sent out with a link to the PDF of the slides as well after this webinar, and you can expect that follow-up email within a few days of this webinar broadcast. So you will be able to share it, review it, and share it with any colleagues, and so on and so forth. So welcome to the webinar today, Kepware's webinar that we're doing in conjunction with Dell, which is a continuation of our IoT webinar series that we've been doing since February, I believe. I am Joanne Backrack. I am your moderator for today. I'll also, for this webinar, be handling some poll questions as well as a demo towards the end. I also have with me Eric Dellinger. I'll get to his introduction in a moment, but he'll be presenting for the Kepware side. Ray Labby, who is a senior applications engineer who will be answering your questions offline, and he also helped develop the demo that I'll be presenting, so he'll be there to answer more detailed questions about that if you have them, as well as a whole slew, a room full of applications engineers that we have on our side to answer your questions. From the Dell side, we are very happy and honored to have Kevin Terwilliger and Christine Frank, who will be presenting some really great edge solutions for you today. And I also want to mention Dell also has some technical people on their side who will be answering your questions as they come through the questions panel. And literally, as we present, you can ask questions about the presentation content, or if you have other questions, we're here to help. So this is your chance to interact with us, and we're happy to have you here and hopefully make this valuable for you. So let's brief look at our agenda. We'll go through Kepware, an intro to Kepware and our industrial connectivity and analytics at the edge. Then we'll get handed over to Dell, and they'll talk about Dell Edge connectivity, and then we'll dive into the use case and demo, and with luck we'll have time at the end for about 5 to 10 minutes of some open Q&A. We'll receive your questions over chat and then discuss them, and I will hand those questions over to either the Kepware side or the Dell side as appropriate. So some more detailed introductions. Eric Dellinger, he is the go-to guy here at Kepware for everything IoT. He's our product manager for IoT solutions and responsible for our IoT product strategy. So he's established and managed these great relationships that we have with partners like Dell, as well as other partners all across the board like distribution and system integrators. And he brings a ton of experience, over 15 years of industrial automation market experience. Very happy to have Kevin Terwilliger, who is kind of like Eric's counterpart over at Dell for Dell's IoT division. He's leading vertical strategy. He has these great blueprints that help customers get off the ground quickly with IoT. He has over 25 patents and 8 years at Dell, so a ton of experience on his side as well. And Christine Frank, who's our global partner manager over at Dell. We correspond with her on the relationship we've built with Dell on our IoT solutions. She builds and manages these IoT relationships and has over 20 years of experience. So tons of expertise on the line, and we're really happy to have this webinar launched. It's a great thing to have this going on. So I'm going to hand it over to Eric Dellinger. He's going to give you the intro to Kepware and talk about the Kepware side of things. So without further ado, Eric.
Great. Thanks, Joanne, and thanks everyone for joining the webinar, and thanks to Dell for joining our IoT webinar series. I first want to kind of give everyone a quick highlight of who we are. Kepware is focused on developing industrial connectivity software for the past 20 years. We were recently acquired by PTC, who is a global provider of technology and platforms and IoT type solutions, which so great fit there for Kepware. Kepware really serves a wide range of customers in a variety of industrial markets, including manufacturing, oil and gas, power and utilities, water, wastewater, some government type applications as well. And we are distributed in more than 100 countries through our fantastic partners. So we do have a global reach. And then, lastly, we've been honored with many accolades over the years that speak to our innovative solutions, our product quality, and our company culture. Excuse me. So, let's talk about the problem that Kepware solves for. Today we have what seems to be really an ever-expanding matrix of new technologies mixed in with old technologies, creating new data silos and challenges. We have new technologies living side by side. We have new and old software, new and old hardware, and new and old data sources, or new and old uses of the data that's coming from all this equipment. As Kepware sees it, the biggest challenge in industrial automation, and now with the industrial Internet of Things, is interoperability. How can we ensure that all of this hardware and all of this software work together in a seamless fashion? The solution that Kepware offers is a connectivity platform that streamlines the communications between hardware and software. This product is called KepServer EX. And KepServer EX is a unique product in that it allows all of our technology to connect within a single application. We've developed this product to support almost all industrial systems. For example, we had upwards of 500 people register for this event, or for this webinar. I would venture to guess that every single one of your environments is different. And KepServer EX solution really meets the needs of all these environments. If you look at this diagram and you look at the bottom layer, the data sources layer, we have a library of 150 drivers, device drivers, supporting upwards of 300 communication protocols. These things allow you to connect to PLCs, RTUs, sensors from a wide variety of manufacturers like Allen Bradley, Siemens, GE, Mitsubishi, and many others. If we look at the top layer, the application layer, this is where the data is, the consumer of the data. We support many industrial standards like OPC DA, OPC UA, MQTT. We support IT-based standards like REST, SNMP, and some others. And then, lastly, we support some proprietary applications from our sister company, ThingWorx, companies like Splunk, and more traditional industrial companies like Wonderware. We're going to pause real quickly as we take a poll question.
All right, so I'm going to issue a poll here, and we just are interested, for those of you that are online, how many are you actually currently using Kepware products? And is anybody here maybe new to Kepware or just not currently using our products? So I'll leave that open for a few seconds. Thanks, Eric, for the intro to Kepware. Nice job. Hopefully everybody's having an okay time viewing the content here and can hear us all right still. All right, so I'm going to leave this open for a few more seconds. Do you currently use Kepware products? Yes, no, or maybe you're not sure. Maybe your company uses it, but you're unsure if it's actually installed somewhere in your infrastructure. All right, so continue to answer that if you can, and I'm going to close that poll, share the results with you guys briefly. So it looks like we got just under 60% said yes, but we have new people on the line who aren't currently using our products for one reason or another. So that's great. Hopefully you'll learn something new, what Eric's going to talk about in a moment about our product offering and connectivity at the edge. All right, so back to Eric.
Thanks, Joanne. As Kepware's IoT product manager, one of the, just to kind of change focus here a little bit, one of the most common topics I hear about right now is analytics. And, so let's talk about that for a second. Let's see, slides aren't advancing. I apologize. In a traditional architecture for analytics, the data will come from a wide variety of sources, and the data will live in a data center. This is most often where the analytics will be performed. What you see here is a recent study conducted by LNS Research, where they polled their manufacturing community. Really, this graph shows the data sources of where analytics are derived. So as you can see, right now, the data source that is most commonly used for analytics are other software applications like MES and ERP. But one of the trends that we're seeing in the market, and because of the new capabilities of the technology, is sensors. What you see at the bottom here is currently 7% of the data source are sensors. We predict that this is going to rise significantly over the upcoming years and near future, especially as predictive analytics becomes more prevalent and more widely adopted. This is great and will provide some valuable new insights. However, the utilization of new sensors and new data sources beyond just the sensors, things like the smart meters and the embedded control and even the additional PLCs and controllers that will be connected, is going to cause another new problem in the market. So if we utilize the existing analytics architecture, your data centers are going to become flooded with unnecessary data. And we really want to avoid this if possible. So how do we solve for this? What we do is introduce edge computing, which is also known as fog computing or edge analytics. Really we move the analytics process away from the data center by introducing hardware and software that lives closer to the data source. That this hardware and software will collect, analyze, and filter the data. Really this combination of hardware and software at the edge is referenced as a gateway solution. What this will do is this will reduce the amount of data that needs to be moved from the sensor to the data center, improving your network traffic, latency, overall cost of the solution, and will actually provide some additional security at the controls level. At Kepware, we develop the software that lives at the edge. This is what we've done for the past 20 years. Our partnership with Dell, who provides this robust hardware solution, combined together, this is going to allow us to create this integrated edge gateway solution. So meaning, Dell and Kepware have come together to help solve for this increasing complexity and, the additional data sources that will be found at the edge. And, we'll be able to use this data for analytics. Our system, just to kind of highlight here what we've done over the past few months with Dell, we've tested and certified our KepServer EX solution on their Edge Gateway and with the Windows 10 operating system. And I'm going to pause, and with that, I'll hand the controls back over to Joanne for a couple more poll questions, and then we'll pass it over to Dell as they talk about their Dell Gateway solution.
Awesome, Eric. Really great info. Thank you. And so a couple more polls. Now that Eric's talked about, kind of our vision here and where we're going with analytics on the edge, are you interested in having a solution, an embedded Kepware solution where you have some hardware on the edge and you actually have Kepware embedded in that as opposed to maybe on a traditional Windows server, Windows PC? So I'll give you a few seconds to answer that. Are you interested in an embedded Kepware solution like basically what Eric's proposing to do that connectivity, analytics, and that sort of thing at the edge? So I'll give you a few more seconds to vote on that one, and keep in mind, depending on how you vote, it might affect our product management decisions here and what we actually put in the development pipeline, since Eric's our product manager. So, all right. Yeah. All right, so vote if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, and all right, we'll share the results here. So 80% of people who voted said that they would be interested in this solution, so that's a pretty good number. All right, one more poll. Do you, and this is going to transition us into the Dell side of the solution here, do you currently use or implement any hardware gateway products? So obviously this is where Dell's going to come into play. offering some hardware here and some very compelling edge connectivity on the hardware side of things. So anybody on the line currently using this, or so yes, no, or maybe you're not sure. Maybe it is in your infrastructure, but you're not completely aware of it. So I'll give you a few more seconds to vote on that one. And vote now or forever hold your peace. All right, and I'll share that with you. So it looks like a more even split here. So many of you, 45% almost, are using it, but a lot of you are not or are not sure. So that's great to see. The majority of you might have something to gain from what we're about to see coming from Dell. So thank you very much for voting in our poll there. Now we're going to go ahead and pass it over to Dell, who will talk to you about their IoT solutions. Kevin, I'm going to unmute you, and if you're on the line, go ahead and say hello.
I'm here.
Okay, we can hear you. All right.
Perfect. And are we going to switch over control and I'll start sharing the slides here?
Yep, perfect. I will make you the presenter. And there we go.
Okay, hopefully that's up full screen for everybody. Can everybody see that all right? Great, seeing some yeses in the chat box there. Well, hello everybody. I'm Kevin Terwilliger. I'm with Dell's IoT division. Before I jump into a few slides real quick on Dell's view of IoT and more specifically our Edge Gateway 5000 solution, I want to just take a second and really thank, first of all, Joanne and Eric for getting us kicked off today, but also just for the opportunity to participate in this webinar series. I'm super excited to be here today on the heels of our announcement yesterday joining Kepware's IoT Alliance program. And just as you've seen, as Eric presented, talking about the value of the edge and the importance of getting access to all this data and how critical it is to be able to do protocol translation, it's clear that the partnership between Dell and Kepware really makes a lot of sense moving forward into the IoT space. So I'll cover a few slides here real quick, just around our vision at a high level around IoT and where we see the gateway really fitting. And then I'm going to transition over to Christine Frank at that point, and she's going to walk through our predictive maintenance blueprint. And Joanne mentioned this idea of a blueprint a little bit initially, but the goal there is Dell's working between our hardware solutions and our partner software solutions to really stitch that together and have an offering around specific use cases like predictive maintenance to really improve your time to ROI and reduce risk when it comes to deploying these solutions in your environment. The first slide I'll talk to, and I'm sure many of you attend multiple different IoT webinars and IoT events over the past year or two. This is becoming a very common slide, this idea of information technology and operations technology coming together, the convergence of those two, and IoT really getting its value from that convergence. You know, a lot of people stop there. Yes, I think we all agree that the convergence of these two departments, these two parts of the organization is important. But I think what's even more important is from Dell's perspective, we know that these two different organizations, OT and IT, they value different things. And traditionally, a lot of people see Dell on the information technology side of this Venn diagram with our servers and more focused on security and manageability. But the fact of the matter is Dell has actually been in operational technology for about 15 years now with our OEM division. And we have about 4,000 different accounts that we sell operation technology solutions into. Some of those are areas where they are picking up pieces of our IT infrastructure, ruggedizing them, or doing different things to customize them for the operation technology side. But Dell has been on that side, and we understand the need for 24/7 uptime and to be able to withstand these really rugged environments. And from an IoT perspective, we are actually very focused on operations technology, and the three verticals that we're targeting with our IoT solutions are manufacturing, number one, transportation and logistics, number two, and energy, so really focused in the operations side of these organizations. When we look at how to approach IoT, really from the server and storage and networking that you see here on this chart to the right is a lot of what Dell has done for years and years. We have a lot of legacy in that space, but what's new here is Dell expanding our trusted infrastructure out to the edge with these new edge gateways to really enable you to deploy these solutions all the way out on the factory floor to do protocol translation, as we've discussed with Kepware, get access to all of that data. But then I think even more importantly is also being able to push the analytics out there. So instead of taking all of this sensor data, and we've all heard the numbers of 50 billion new connected sensors by 2020, every analyst has a little bit different number, but trying to backhaul all of that data to the data center or to the cloud and putting that in a data lake, we see that as a cost center worth of data, and that's not valuable. We want to be able to process that data at the edge, cleanse it, identify specific events with the analytics to understand what data is valuable, and then transition that back to the cloud or the data center for deeper processing. So why choose Dell for IoT edge hardware? And I was very impressed to see that 45% of the audience today is already deploying gateways or embedded PCs out on the factory floor to push analytics out. That's fantastic to hear that. There's a couple of reasons why we see that that Dell is the brand of choice in this area. First of all, we go back to that IT credibility, bringing security and manageability, the things that we're known for in the data center, extending that out to the edge so that the IT department trusts this new equipment going onto their network. We also do a ton of rigorous engineering. I mentioned that OEM group, and specifically the group that engineers these products within Dell is actually the same group that for the last 10 years has been engineering our rugged notebooks and rugged servers to go into tanks and to go into the battlefield, to go into police vehicles with extreme temperatures, extreme vibration. It's the same engineering team that's engineering these gateways and embedded PCs for IoT. From a global scale and support perspective, that's kind of the next three bullets together. So minimum order quantity of one, standard lead times like you would be buying a PC instead of traditional embedded or industrial PC lead times where you might be dealing directly with an Asian manufacturer, and then you don't necessarily have the support that you need. Dell enables you to have basically a safety net that will show up at your factory and handle the support that you need within 24 hours with these embedded PCs and gateway products that we're offering here. We also have configuration services that can show up with your BIOS ready to go, that type of thing. And then also just touch briefly on Dell Financial Services. This is a huge asset that Dell has that enables you to potentially lease this hardware or do different financial strategies to ultimately turn this from CapEx into OpEx, which we know is super important in the current financial situation. Just to touch a little bit more on the amount of testing that we put these products through, and we've done a lot of research into what our competitors do in this space too, and we really believe that Dell stands above all the rest when it comes to the testing that we put our products through. And this is very, very important to the Dell brand. Ultimately, there's 10 different stations of testing that we put these gateways and embedded PCs through. And you can see all of them outlined here on this chart, everything from thermal shock to vibration to water ingress, dust ingress. But I just want to touch on one specifically, which is the hot temperature, which up in that top bar there in the middle. Something that we see a lot of our competitors doing is they'll test the hot temperature, say they're testing it up to 70 degrees C. One, they might not even test the full assembly. They might just say that the components are rated to 70 degrees C, so therefore the whole box is rated to 70 degrees C. But we all know that that's not necessarily true. Some components might be putting off more heat, And you need to be able to test that assembly to make sure that it can withstand that high temperature. But even beyond that, when they test the whole assembly, they'll do it in a chamber where there's airflow. And in a lot of situations, you're going to put these boxes into control cabinets or places where it's dead air. So we test our products with dead air, no movement, and no airflow at all. And we test it with all the buses, the processor, all running at 100%, so that we know, it's not dependent on that specific use case. Whatever the constraints are within that high temperature range, we can withstand that, and we can guarantee that our products will be able to make it through that extreme environment. I also just want to touch on the reason why we're here today with Kepware is, Dell isn't looking to be the end-all, be-all within IoT. We want to be the infrastructure provider. We want to be the enabler with a trusted infrastructure. So we're really building strong partnerships with ISVs like Kepware, who have the vertical expertise, who know how to do protocol translation, and partnering with them, building up this ecosystem. If you're interested in seeing more about the partners that Dell has, you can go to DellIoTPartners.com. So far, we have about 50 partners in our partner program, and that's continuing to grow on a daily basis. And then also service providers. System integrators are so important in the Internet of Things. And Dell isn't going to be able to show up at a factory floor and do that specific deployment, and we want to build strong partnerships with the system integrators. We've already started to, even within predictive maintenance specifically, we have system integrators that are already trained and ready to go around our predictive maintenance solution, so we can deploy through them. But we're building that ecosystem of system integrator partners to make sure that we can deliver these solutions within IoT, because they are so unique and require a lot of customization going into the different factories. With that, I'll turn it over to Christine Frank, who's going to talk us through our predictive maintenance blueprint.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. First of all, I want to say thank you to Joanne and Eric for having us here today, and thank you very much, Kevin, for presenting the first part of our presentation today. So before we get started, I just want to kind of show an overview of Dell's taxonomy of where our solutions fit in the manufacturing system. We understand manufacturing, and we understand the type of data that you need to capture. But also we understand that we need an ecosystem of partners in order to give you those solutions from end to end. So really this diagram is showing you our capabilities with our Edge Gateway as well as our industrial PC solutions. If you look at the diagram here in the blue, what that is really showing is the protocol translation, the data that you're picking up from the sensors or the PLCs or the I/O. And then in the green, it's really the data that you're computing back and forth between the data center or fog computing. So this is just an overview. We just want to help set the stage so everyone understands that we do understand the manufacturing process and where we're going today. So I always like to start with this. What is IIoT, Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing? What does it really mean? What it is to me and to a lot of people out there in the industry is it's about connecting new technologies from the plant floor to the enterprise in order to optimize, to increase efficiencies, to collect that data from the industrial equipment, whether that's machines, controllers, sensors, actuators, pumps, and at the end of it, to improve your end-to-end processes. Now, if we take a look at this timeline here, this is really about how Industry 4.0 sees the industry. Now, we're not going to go backwards in time and look at the 1700s, but let's go to 3.0 and kind of talk there. The reason why I bring this up is in the mid-90s to the 2000s, there was really a convergence of the OT and IT that started to progress. The reason why was because of industrial Ethernet. As we move forward into 4.0, we're going to see a larger collaboration between the OT and the IT side, specifically because of cloud technology and the IoT solutions and what it really can do for us, which is automating complex tasks. So before we go on, I want to kind of set the stage here. What are some of the top challenges that are facing U.S. manufacturers? 46% of manufacturers need to maximize their return on assets, whether that's the number one thing that is reducing budgets or workforce attrition. Workforce attrition, if you look at that, it's really about making sure that the workers have the right information in order to understand their applications. There is a lot of data behind this that has gone into it in the research. The other thing that we have to look at is aging assets. The number one thing that we, like I said, what we want to talk about is reducing budgets. But really, what are we doing about it? How does it impact our ROA or our ROI? So if we look at this, this is how we can create improved assets and making better decisions with our analytics. 40%. Next one. So this is just a high-level overview of kind of the assets that you want to look at. So in manufacturing, we're very concerned about our robots and our assembly systems, our milling or machine forming or CNCs, press, die, welding machines, all of those types of assets. We want to make sure that we have the capability to have visibility in there. But in a predictive maintenance application, it's not just limited to manufacturing. It can be in planes and trains and automobiles or buildings, heavy equipment, energy solutions, wind turbines. How does predictive maintenance, so this is really what I want to talk about here, is how does it maximize our return on assets? We have to think about assets and how we can save money, identifying those characteristics and breaking down the barriers. So really what we want to do is look at how can we get a return on our assets at the highest value. When we implement a predictive maintenance solution, we can uncover root causes and determine what is wrong and then apply prescriptive maintenance. We can also stop outages and unplanned downtime. The number one thing on a factory floor is unplanned downtime. So we really, really, really want to look at that. Now, what a predictive maintenance solution does at the end of this is actually reduce unplanned downtime to 3.5%. That's a significant reduction, where if you just use a maintenance program, it's about 24%. Improving overall equipment efficiency, 89%. That's a significant number. If you can get that value out of it, which we see, that's a significant business opportunity for your company. So before I jump right into our blueprint, I really want to talk about what the kind of data is that you're going to be collecting that's out there. So there is 3 different types of data that's out there. One is real-time structured data. So that's the data that you collect from the PLCs, the HMIs. It could be video cameras, it could be telematics. But that's that data that's streaming from the assets or the sensors. Then we have the structured data. Structured data is text data in the form of maintenance and operation logs or free-form data, even emails or social media. Most organizations have a difficult time figuring out how to utilize this data. So to accommodate this data, and we really want to take a look at it and make sure that we're looking at it from the logs and the assets, performance, those types of things. So the other one is, oh, Kevin, you went too fast. So the other one is we also want to make sure that we understand the data that's coming from our SCADA systems, our ERP, and from our warehouses. This is important data to make sure that we understand it as we move forward into a predictive maintenance solution. So this is an example of a predictive maintenance solution looking at vibration or wear evidence, looking at different motors and what you can actually do in predictive maintenance. This graphic shows the 4 models that are commonly used to detect when a catastrophic failure could happen or when a machine is going to shut down. So really what this is showing is if I can predict when a motor is going to fail within days or weeks, that is going to save on my overall predictive maintenance value at the end of the day, because I'm not going to have to send out maintenance people out onto the floor when a catastrophic failure happens. I'm going to be able to schedule and make sure that I take care of that motor prior to that catastrophic failure ever happening and really react based on the information that I've received by modeling and looking at what's going on over a course of time. So this is the basic steps that we've put together to do a predictive maintenance solution. Number 1, you have to establish the business case for PDM. You have to make the case. What is the unique problems that affect my operations or production that could impact risk? It's important to understand the metrics of the organization, what they're focused on, how we can improve. Consider these questions to identify your goals. Number 1, what are the critical assets that are likely to fail? When and why will they fail? How do these asset failures impact my personnel, my operations, or my production cost? What does the cost of downtime really cost for our organization or your organization? How can data-driven decisions be integrated within the constraints of your existing maintenance practices? Second, we want to make sure that we identify and prioritize the types of data sources that we're using. As we talked about before, there's 3 types of structures of data. In a solution in that example, we want to make sure that we're capturing that real-time data from the sensors, resulting in avoiding, costly downtime or emergency responses. There are also a list of other things that we can find from a predictive maintenance structure and making sure we identify those sources of data. So the third thing that we want to do is we want to be able to collect that selected data that we've made our decisions on, whether that's from the SCADA system, the control system, the sensors, the enterprise. An ideal PDM solution should be flexible enough to enable and collect all of this data sources to learn continuously and make it better. More informed business decisions, that's what's going to result in it. And with the results of that, the Dell Edge Gateway is if you look at it, it's an industrial grade solution that works in a variety of critical protocols as well as different types of data that you can collect. Number 4, you really need to determine what you want to run as far as your analytics. So you have to establish the analytics foundations based on the specific operations, whether that's cloud data or reducing the burden of the streaming of the data to your cloud in your deployment. A distributed approach enables you to detect and respond to local events at the edge as they happen, and you can take immediate action, or you can stream that data, while simultaneously integrating additional data sources into the cloud. The Edge Gateway can analyze and stream data in memory for real-time processes or filter the unnecessary data that you may want to just rely on up in the cloud. So number 5, we want to combine that data and take precise insights. What exactly do we want to do? Once we've collected all of that data, now we have to make decisions. After analyzing the real-time data and the historical, now what we can do is we can take models from the logs to uncover meaningful information or patterns or trends or anomalies. Really, that's where the rules are going to be set. So this is very important to make sure that we get precise insight and we really understand what's going on in our operations to really take action in real time. And lastly, we want to take action from the organizational standpoint. So turn insight into action by creating and aggregating risk assessments from all assets in your operations through a single dashboard. So this is going to allow you to have the visibility into that system, giving that information to your personnel, turning it into insight and action. So with our partners, we have brought together a great end-to-end solution. We work with our partners, as you know, Kepware, as well as Software AG and SAP. If we start at the left-hand side, we can see that what we're working with Kepware on is their Kepware Server EX. We're doing protocol translation in real time. Then we're streaming the analytics into another software platform that allows for visualization or dashboards, those types of things, through the Edge Gateway 5000. Then on the back end, we're looking at doing the reports, using that structured and unstructured data from the data center to the cloud, passing that data back and forth between the gateway. SAP offers us that capability. So from Kepware to Software AG, as well as SAP, we can offer you an end-to-end solution. At Dell, we really take a pragmatic approach to our IoT. Well, what does our Edge Gateway do? Well, it bridges a variety of different endpoints. The number one thing to think about is we've tested for industrial environments. So our equipment's going to run 24/7, 365 days a week in these rugged, harsh environments. We also have made it very easy for you to execute edge analytics. As I always say to everybody, if you're customer-centric, so should your analytics be. We provide hardware with the greatest level of security and manageability from your endpoints all the way through.
Fantastic. Thanks, Christine. Just two more slides here real quick from a Dell perspective. We just wanted to share a little bit of accolades that we've received. So this IoT division at Dell, we actually just celebrated our 1-year birthday. We've been kind of incubating IoT at Dell for probably about 2 years now, with this really coming out of our Chief Technology Office. But these are just a few things that we've achieved over the last year, and I just wanted to highlight 2 of them real quick. The first one is from Compass Intelligence, receiving the Customer IoT Enhancement Award, being #1 there, really for our customer-centric approach to IoT and coming alongside our customers, bringing in the right partners and enabling them to get to quicker ROI in their environments. We all know there's a lot of hype around IoT, but our goal here is to really help you get to that ROI quick, to prove it out in a pilot, to then look at some of these larger, loftier goals around IoT. The other thing I'll highlight on the top right corner, the best product design. So we've received 2 awards now, the Red Dot Award for the product design, the ruggedness and the reliability that we built into that product, and then more recently at the Computex show out in Taipei as well. Lots of great awards that we've started to really make some traction and starting to be recognized as a leader in the IoT space, the quickly emerging IoT space. And the last slide that I wanted to cover before turning it back over to Joanne to see a demo of their predictive maintenance solution running on top of our gateway. We just wanted to quickly highlight our IoT Partner Program for system integrators. There's 3 tiers within this partner program, and we are actively promoting this, actively building out this program. And there's lots of reasons why you as a system integrator, if that's your space, that you should be really interested in this. You know, obviously, Dell, our brand presence, our 18,000 sales reps, huge opportunity to increase your market awareness. You know, we've talked through our whole solution of infrastructure products being most robust, most reliable. We offer that world-class support. We can do that through you if you're a system integrator. or you can outsource that to Dell. We can do that multiple different ways, offering that support. And then ultimately boundless opportunities for incremental business. So I mentioned before, from a predictive maintenance perspective, we are starting to align ourselves to particular system integrators so that as we are having those customer conversations, we can immediately pull in the service provider that can actually come in and deliver the solution with our hardware and our partners' software. So great opportunity now to get integrated into this partner program. There's an email address down there at the bottom, IoT_SI@Dell.com. It's a great way to get integrated. They'll start plugging you in. And if you have a question about it, we also have a few people from this program on the webinar as well, ready to answer any questions. So feel free to pop them in the chat box there. That's it for me, Joanne. I'll hand it back over to you. And I think you guys are going to be really excited with this demo that Joanne's about to walk us through.
Thanks so much, Kevin, and thanks, Christine. Great presentation. Really appreciate you being on the line. I'm going to take back over control, and then I'm also going to mute you guys, so hopefully everybody can see my screen again. And again, thank you so much. Awesome presentation. Really happy about this partnership and to see what you guys have available. We have some great questions coming in over the line, and we're continuing to answer those as they come through. So great participation from the audience as well. And let's get into this cool use case. So our use case is we have a simple assembly line, and it's just assembling parts. It's assembling two disks on top of each other, and a robot arm takes the top disk, places it on the bottom disk, just using a pneumatic device, and then a quality line over here on the right-hand side there just visually checks for alignment, and good quality has good alignment. The top disk is centered on the bottom disk, and their bad quality would be bad alignment or poor alignment. You can see an example of the robot arm in action in the little thumbnail below the assembly line image. Again, this is something that our senior applications engineer Ray Labby developed in conjunction with a few other engineers from our parent company, PTC, who did this for a recent conference that was all about IoT and centered on IoT called LiveWorks. So if you're interested about learning more about this particular demo and how we set up the assembly line and everything, you can check that out. There's recordings of that. But, if we expand this to a more general use case, you can imagine this being any assembly line where you have some sort of assembly line going on and some sort of quality check. So we have vibration data coming from a motor and pneumatic data that's coming in from this line, and we're going to use that for predictive maintenance in our demo here. So we have sensors for the motor vibration as well as pneumatic pressure, and those are connected to a PLC on the line. The PLC data is going to feed data to Kepware X, which is installed on a gateway, the Dell Edge Gateway, and then Kepware X on that gateway is going to feed data to an analytics engine, and that analytics engine is going to be some crunching and do some evaluation of machine conditions. Maybe it's implemented machine learning in the past to look at the characteristics of these waveforms and determine, knowing maybe past information and paired with machine learning info, be able to determine days to failure of this machine. So the advantage here of using something like a gateway instead of just having Kepware X installed on maybe a traditional Windows server or on just a regular PC that might be somewhere on the plant floor is that you don't have to, it's very easy to set up. You don't have to interrupt any of your systems that might already be in place, so you don't have to get permission from IT to install on the Windows server or anything like that. You don't have to add anything to existing SCADA systems or HMI systems to get data from this PLC. Maybe this is a one-off, maybe this is a remote site that you're communicating it with, so perfect use case for an edge gateway solution. Or maybe you're developing a whole new line and you want to connect in all your legacy stuff from the other lines, but you want to start modernizing your setup and kind of have it isolated or separate from maybe some of that legacy stuff and pull in the legacy stuff as you need. So all compelling reasons to use this sort of edge connectivity and gateway solution. So here on my screen, you should be able to see that I have KepServerEX running. This is what we call our configuration. And the KepServerEX configuration, this is exactly how it would look if you had it installed on the gateway. And basically this is how you tell our software how to connect to any assets you have or equipment you have out on the plant floor. So we have channels. Here we have Modbus PLC that's connected to a robot, that robot arm, and then we also have an Omron channel that is connected to the Omron PLC, and then a couple other channels that might be generating simulated data or kind of just be data storage for us. And so the channel, the objects that you see in KepServerEX in this configuration UI here are the channel, which is where we determine, where you as the user would pick what protocol you're using to talk out to your assets, such as Modbus or Omron or Allen Bradley or Siemens or what have you. Those, over 300 protocols Eric mentioned earlier. And then what network, what type of infrastructure you're going over. So maybe it's Ethernet, maybe it's serial, maybe it's a radio modem. And then down this at the one level lower below the channel we have what we call the device, and this literally represents that physical device or piece of equipment you might have out on the floor. So it could be a PLC, it could be even a data source like a database, so anything that you have out there, any asset you have that you want to connect in. And then down one level from the PLC we have tags. So tags are data primitives or registers or just pieces of data that you want to read in to your edge solution here and use in some way in your analytics platform. So I have, again, the Modbus channel here hooked up to read data from the robot, and then I have my Omron PLC, which is also reading like the pneumatic data and the vibration sensor data and so on. And then here for this specific demo I have this command set of tags, which actually allows me to inject failures. So if I write to this vibration control command or this leak control command, if I write that hi, then what will happen is I will basically tell my system to inject a failure and simulate a bad waveform or a bad scenario coming through for my vibration sensor or my pneumatic sensors. So I'm going to show that coming through this dashboard here. So this dashboard was created using our sister companies' analytics and other solutions. ThingWorx is the back end to this. So I have data coming through KepServerEX into ThingWorx, and then some simple analytics going on in the background that is producing this graph, and I have this nifty metric called days to failure that will be able to dynamically adjust based on these changing waveforms. So as we see that we're getting into bad sort of scenarios over here, we'll see the days to failure adjust accordingly depending on where the waveforms are. All right, so here I'm just going to use my quick client provided with KepServerEX to write to these commands. So the first thing I'm going to do is inject vibration control, an error there, and so I see vibration pop up on my graph here. It's going into some sort of abnormal state, and I see my days to failure have gone down quite significantly. I'm not producing any errors at this point because I still have a good amount of time to address this error. However, my days of failure have adjusted accordingly as this bad data comes through. And then I'm going to inject a pneumatic leak failure. And so now my days to failure goes down a lot, and you see the pneumatic leak waveform pop way up to indicate that I have a significant flow increase, which would indicate a leak condition. So these two conditions combined, vibration being off and leak detected, means I have a lot less time to respond and that my system's going to fail very soon. So let's say I fix the leak, or I fix the vibration, I fix the motor vibration, so my motor vibration gets fixed, but I don't fix the leak. What happens in that scenario? Now I have more time to address the issue for the pneumatic leak. You'll see my waveform for vibration goes back down to normal. However, I'm still experiencing a leak. So you can see it's just a simple demo here of how I'm easily able to do some quick analytics on this and predict days to failure for that predictive maintenance. So hopefully that was useful for you, and you appreciated seeing that sort of demo. Again, if I take away both of these error conditions so that both of these waveforms return to normal, then my days to failure will pop up again, go much higher. So I can basically dynamically understand the health of my system. So that's it for the demo. We have a few minutes left for some open Q&A. Before I do that, I do want to ask a poll question, couple poll questions. So write your questions in for the Q&A session while you're answering these polls. So the first poll question is, do you have an active IoT project now or plans for one in the future? So yes, I have an active IoT project. Yes, I have short-term plans. Yes, I have long-term plans. No, but I'm evaluating some things, or no, not at all. So go ahead and answer that poll question, and in the meantime, I'll propose some Q&A to our presenters here. So we have Tom Smirtnick, who is asking a question. Is the predictive maintenance demo I've shown here based upon some existing algorithm? Is it adaptable or customizable to allow the system to become more heuristic? That's totally adaptable, Tom. So it's the platform I was using, ThingWorx, does come with some analytics, and you can totally adapt it to what you want, and any other platform you're using for analytics can do that for you. So Kepware is providing the connectivity, we're providing the connection up, and then you can literally take that data and layer on any analytics that you would like. So great question, but yeah, totally customizable. So a question from one of our partners, Boulogne, out in Turkey. Could you repeat how Kepware transfers data for predictive maintenance? So maybe that's a good question for Ray.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in this demonstration, what we're doing is leveraging the IoT Gateway plugin, which is part of KepServer EX, to move data into the ThingWorx platform. Now, our IoT Gateway really is the plugin as part of KepServer EX that's going to enable you to move data quickly and easily to a lot of these advanced analytics applications. And that's because of the design of this IoT Gateway is leveraging more IT-based technologies like web services, interfaces with using HTTP, MQTT. We also have connectivity to Splunk and ThingWorx using native interfaces that those platforms support. And moving the data into those platforms then allows you to use the technology that those platforms provide to do the analytics, to store the data, to build a visualization quickly and easily once the data is received. So that's how we conducted it as part of this demonstration. I know a few of our webinars we've discussed setting up the IoT Gateway in the past. So if you hadn't checked out one of those webinars, they are available, I believe, on our YouTube channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joanne. And you can feel free to contact our sales team as well and get in touch with an applications engineer that can have a more one-on-one conversation if you have any further questions or thoughts on how to use the tools.
Thanks, Ray. So I put another poll question up about whether you'd like Dell to contact you about these IoT solutions. Obviously, Kepware will be contacting you with the follow-up for this webinar, so you can also reply to us if you want more information. And then some other questions. This is more for the Dell side, so Kevin, I've unmuted you if you'd want to answer. A question coming through about Windows 10 being exposed to the users. How do you manage security, patching, antivirus, automatic updates, and so on? So would you be able to speak to that, Kevin?
Wow, I don't think I could do that question justice. I think the best thing to do, Chad, if you can address that question. I know we don't have you as a speaker, but we can have him answer that in the chat box. Chad is our expert when it comes to our software and our OS partners.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kevin. We have a lot more questions coming through about analytics and wondering if analytics is done with ThingWorx or what if it's installed on the Dell Edge Gateway. So I can say, this answer was answered previously by Chad, I believe, in our chat, saying that you can just basically install any analytics platform you want. You can use this, it's a Windows platform, so anything that can install on Windows 10, you can install that on the Edge Gateway. I specifically in the demo use ThingWorx. ThingWorx does come with an analytics solution. You can check out their website if you want to play around with that. It's pretty nice, and it does provide a thing called mashups, which is dashboards. It can do reporting and all of that. It's not quite out of the box. So you would do have a little front-end development you'd need to do to get that off the ground, but it can be quite flexible solution. So it looks like we're just past the hour here, and giving some more questions in, so I'll answer one more before we leave. And for those of you where it looks like there might be some technical support questions coming through, for those of you who we didn't get to your question, we will certainly follow up with you after the webinar. So one more question is that in the recorded version, are these questions that this Q&A session that we're doing going to be retained and provided to people revisiting? So yeah, of course you can come and re-listen to these questions at the end. We'll maintain this in the recording. And then oftentimes what we do for these webinars is we do a blog post afterwards with Q&A posted from the webinar. So we won't send that out with the slides or anything, but you might be able to expect that down the line, some Q&A blog about the questions and answers that we got through on this webinar. All right, so thank you so much. We're getting some kudos from people on the line, so thank you very much for joining. We really appreciated your attention and your time. Big thanks to Eric, who did a great job presenting for Kepware, Ray Labby, who helped develop the demo, and of course Kevin and Christine, our presenters from Dell. Very happy to have this partnership off the ground and to have a chance to talk to all of you about it today. So have a great day. We'll follow up with you as we can. We'll stay on the line here if we're still answering questions over chat, but feel free to drop off now, and we hope to see you the next time in another month for another one of our webinars. So thank you very much.